Love to hear what you have to say about Ige and Fili.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Dan Ige, Andre Fili. Another tough fight to predict. Ige minus 175, Fili plus 145 on money line. This is a really good fight. I feel like this is another rare instance of good UFC matchmaking in the 145-pound division. Both of these guys are pretty durable, made a name for themselves in this division for a few years now. Unfortunately, once again, for both, though, they've kind of stalled out. They're both, I feel like, they're kind of at where they're going to end. You know, it doesn't get much higher in the rankings and things of that nature for them. Unfortunately, as good as they are, they're not like, championship material, but still fun fighters, entertaining fighters. I like both of these guys. I'm a fan of both of their styles and everything. Uh, I think primarily striking. Both guys like to stand. They like to strike and exchange. So I think that's how the fight's going to play out. Ike's coming off a tough loss to Bryce Mitchell. He lost by grappling, just being thoroughly outclassed in the grappling. Uh, Beat Nate Landwehr last year by decision. Had a KO over Damon Jackson. So that's like his last three fights from last year for Dan Ige. Andre Fili also has lost to Bryce Mitchell by being outclassed in the grappling. But his last fight, December last year, had a nice KO TKO over Lucas Almeida. Narrow lost to Nathaniel Wood July last year. A lot of people thought that was maybe some home cooking. I don't remember enough to be able to give you like a solid answer, but it was a close fight. I was surprised at how close it was and how Fili was able to kind of hold his own because I thought Wood was going to walk all over him. And then beat Bill Algeo. That's not really saying much. Lost to Joe Anderson Brito. Not really saying much. Disappointing, but whatever. Uh, Tough fight. Very tough fight. Very even fight. I feel like the odds should be kind of closer to what Vieira and what's his face was. I feel like the odds should be a little bit closer to that instead. Oh, Vieira Petrosian. I feel like the odds should kind of mirror that more so than the discrepancy. But as a result of there being that discrepancy, since this is kind of a pick 'em to me, I kind of lean all things considered when so much between these two seems evenly matched. And like I said, an example of fair, good matchmaking. I'm wanting to ride with the underdog on this, which is Fili at plus 145 to minus 175 for Ige. So I think that's what I'm going to go with, just because I kind of think Fili's, for as long as he's been in the UFC, I feel like Ige is kind of, he's hitting the wall a lot harder, I guess you could say. Like, yeah, they're both, even though Fili's only 33, the guy's had a lot of miles, a lot of wars, a lot of fights in the UFC. I think Ige is hitting the wall way harder than he is, though. Fili has still a little bit more left in the tank, I feel. And so, based off that, is what's wanted me to give him the edge. I also think that Fili is the more refined striker. Yes, they're both going to want to strike. They're both going to want to primarily box, but I feel like Fili has more fundamentals, more technique, more power, even that type of thing, which leads me to be pretty optimistic. And other than Joe Anderson Brito, he's only really lost to, like, for a long time, the kind of elite of that division. Like Bryce Mitchell up until the Josh Emmett KO was like a shining star of that division. Sadiq Yusuf still really good. Michael Johnson, no shame in losing to Michael Johnson. Once again, he's capable of beating everybody. Calvin Cater, really good guy. Yeah, Rodriguez, really good guy. Max Holloway. So he's only ever lost, other than that one fluke, to really elite guys, whereas Ige just seems to kind of like really have run out of steam quick, and that's what's concerning. Uh, I don't want to get too crazy and say that Fili could do KO TKO, even though it's at plus 600. It's tempting, but I feel like it's kind of bait. I think this would be a decision. I think both guys are just kind of going to go at it, and hopefully it'll be a war and it won't be boring. They'll kind of just stand, they'll trade. It'll be fun, it'll be entertaining, but nobody's going to get finished because they're both pretty tough, both pretty durable. So I like Fili by decision. Well, actually, you know what? I'll just take the money line on him since he's the underdog. I like him at plus 145. But if you're really just jonesing for a method, I feel like decision's pretty safe at plus 250. But since he's already given you a good return just on the money line, me, myself personally, I'd put my money on him at plus 145, just money line for Fili.
Absolutely great points, Bobby. I see this fight very, very similar, both with a wrestling background that want to stand up and strike. These guys, they really are like a copy and paste. Ige, heavy fist, good movement, compact. He's good in all three phases. Balanced pressure, wants to stay controlled and precise. This dude does not want to have any like those scrambles, and people are just starting to throw whatever they can. He's not about that. He likes slowing the fight down and being very controlled with what he does. Fili, good striking and fakes, good wrestling clinches. He's trending up also. So we just saw I call it like a rebirth. Like he was talking after his last fight, like this is the best I've felt in a long time. Like this is a new chapter in my career. And you felt it. You really felt that he was starting to turn a corner. I'm gonna go Ige for one reason. Do you know Fili's last fight was?
Was that that was the Lucas Almeida where he had the TKO, right?
That was the Edwards Covington fight that we just talked about just back in December.
Oh yeah, the card it was on, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's fought very, very, very recently. That is the only thing that concerns me. He's going to be in great shape. I think Ige, I believe Fili is filling in because Ige was scheduled to fight somebody else, and Fili stepped in for this one.
Yes. Yep. I didn't see who he is scheduled. I didn't look at that, but yeah, this is a replacement fight.
Yeah. So I think both guys are going to be in good shape. I have no concern about the gassing. I just worry about how much the last fight took out of Fili and what he's going to look like in this one. It's very, very close. I also had this as a decision. I think, if anything, you just got to take decision either way. I don't think that it's going to be a KO or a sub. Ige decisions plus 165. I'm going to lean Ige, but I mean, if you want to take money line, Fili is the play.
Right, and I also like how you brought up a good point at Fili seems more energized. He seems like, this late into his career, though, he still seems motivated. And that could just be, we talk about fighter talk. Like, of course, every fighter is going to tell you weight cut's going great. This is the best they've ever felt, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's going to tell you they feel like shit and everything's horrible. I get it. But yeah, I really believed him when he said that he does feel re-energized. And it goes along with what I was saying of Ige's hit the wall. I don't get that feeling from Ige. Ige could turn it around. He is still young enough, talented enough, etc. But if he doesn't have it and he's not saying it and expressing it outwardly, but Fili is, then that's a lot of proof to me to kind of put my money on Fili for sure. That was a good point you made.
Yeah, thank you, man.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top, eh? Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.